Education 1030 students. I hope everyone had a great week last week. So this week we are jumping into chapter 3. Just to recap, last week we were working on chapter 12, which was all about career assessment. You took the Focus 2 career assessment and were able to kind of gain insight as the different types of careers and to really start the exploration for our Exploring the Field. I will be doing a separate video about this module. I mentioned last week that you needed to go ahead and read through the assignment project because there's a lot of pieces to it. So there will be a second video coming for that that I will be posting on the news bulletin. But let's go ahead and look at chapter 3. We're going to walk through some of the resources and then we're going to get into some things that you need to look at specifically in the textbook for chapter 3. So we're looking at managing your time. How do we manage our energy and then money? So really the two main focus areas I want us to look at this week is going to be your time and your energy. Now I did send out an email talking about if you have a planner, a Walter State planner, that's something that the book is going to talk about, is to create a monthly calendar or have a planner. And what this allows us to do is to really look at our time management, right? And it allows us to keep up with all of our course assignments. So this is something that I really want us to start getting in the habit of doing, especially if this is something that you're not used to. So Water State students can get a planner free of charge. You could either come to my office or you can pick one up at your home campus. If you don't like paper planners, you can also think about maybe using an app in your phone or maybe even using just the calendar in your phone to help you keep up with things. So for the learning resources, you have to read chapter 3, which later I will get in on what you need to specifically focus on. We have our reading organizer, okay, and as I mentioned, this is not required, but this learning resource is a valuable tool for you for studying for quizzes and exams. When it comes time to take Unit 1 exam, you can email me this exact one, and then you can earn, bonus points if it's correct and completely filled out. That's a chance for you to earn bonus points on the actual exam itself. So this is something that I really encourage students to do because it's really walking through the chapter and going through the main topics and supporting details that you need to look at and focus on in the content for chapter 3 itself. The other thing that you have is going to be your chapter 3 slides. As I mentioned, slides are not a substitute for your textbook. You do need to purchase your textbook. I had a couple of students reach out saying that they didn't get to get the textbook till last week. So we are already well under our way and already working in chapter 3 in the text. So it's important that if you do not have your textbook, you reach out to me because we need to set a time to meet. Okay, some of the other resources that you have are going to be the videos. Now, the videos, as I mentioned before, are really going to just be an additional learning resource for you. So it goes along with the chapter, but it gives us a little bit more insight and gain a deeper understanding into the content and objectives for that chapter. So the first one I want us to look at is going to be what we call time management self-assessment. Now this is really just for your own self-learning. You will not turn this in. So what this assessment does is it really allows you to look at how are you using your time. So you will read each statement, and then next to the statement there is a drop-down menu, and you will choose if you agree or disagree with the statement. And this self-assessment is really going to be giving you an idea of topics that you might want to consider, about improving. So maybe it's in a specific area that you are struggling with. So this really doesn't. This just gives you an overall view. So it's not specific, but it's going to let you see which area maybe you are falling short in. The other two are going to be videos. So one of them is about how do you manage your energy, not your time, and also living on a budget while you're in college. Those two resources go along with chapter 3. For the actual assignment itself, you will be completing a discussion board. So you're going to watch a short video, and the video is giving you tips about your day, using a schedule and a calendar, organizing your time, organizing your assignments, and keeping up with everything. So after watching the video, you are going to respond to the questions below. You will need to reply to at least 2 other classmates to get points on replies. There is a discussion board rubric that will walk you through how your points are, like what are the criteria for the points for discussion, replies, as well as the content itself. Now, let's go ahead and look at some things that I want you to focus on in your chapter 3, in your textbook. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is on page 53, where we are looking at using a calendar or a planner. Now, why is this important? Well, it's a good time management technique, number 1. Students who are more organized usually tend to be more successful in their courses. So when you're thinking about all the things you have to keep up with, you have to keep up with your quizzes, your exams, your homework assignments, presentations. So on page 53, it's going to give you a look at what a monthly calendar could be. Now, some students find this overwhelming. They don't want to plan monthly. As you see in figure 3.1 on page 53 in your textbook, it's even color-coded. Now, the way that they laid this out, the categories are separated into their coursework, social activities, obligations, times when they're actually going to sit down and study, and then for any major assignment or quizzes and exams. So you could really color code it and get as specific as you would like. Now, if you feel that that is too overwhelming, you may want to look at a daily planner. Okay, so if you look at figure 3.3 on page 56 in the textbook, it's going to show you a view of the day and what are your to-do tasks for the day, what's due. How are you going to break down your homework time, your study time, any personal things that you have to take care of? So there's different ways to do it. If you get the Water State Planner or you purchase one on your own from Walmart, Target, so on, you will see that there's different ones to choose from. You can do just specifically monthly calendars. You could do one that has monthly view as well as weekly view, or you can do a daily calendar. So it's really up to you. I would suggest doing what works for you. Now, anytime that you're trying to create a new habit, it's going to take anywhere from 30 to 90 days depending on the person. So it's going to take time for you to get in the habit of using a planner and calendar. So you may use it for 1 week and then you're like, I can't do this because I keep forgetting, but it's going to take time, so don't give up. Now, the other thing that we need to look at too is maybe you are putting things in your calendar or reminders in your phone, but maybe that is not the problem. The issue may be procrastination. So if you look at page 59 in your textbook, there is a self-assessment on procrastination. It's really going to allow you to see, which areas, right, are you procrastinating in? And is it going to be lack of motivation, lack of failure, a fear of failure, or lack of interest? And really it's going to fall into one of those 3 things is why your procrastination. Remember, procrastinating is delaying, right, something that needs to be done. And this could actually end up hurting you. On page 60, we give you some techniques or strategies that might help with procrastination. So that might be something that you can look at. Now, your book goes on in chapter 3 to talk about, well, how do you set priorities, right? One of the things we kind of talked about with your daily calendar would be, creating a to-do list, which you could do this in your phone if you don't prefer to have a separate planner or paper and pencil. The other thing to really focus on is really staying focused and prioritizing the things that are important, right? So if you look on page 62 in your book, it really starts to break down priorities in your life. What's more important, what's less, and what's not important at all. Because sometimes if we're not prioritizing our life and our activities and things that we need to do, then it really allows us to see, are we focusing on the wrong things, right? And what should be our number one priority, and go from there. The other thing that goes along with managing your time is really managing your energy. Section 3.2 in chapter 3 is really going to talk about, well, number one, how are you managing your energy? That prioritizing your activities, responsibilities is a good first step before we start thinking about how are we spending our energy. So maybe it's because you need to establish a routine and you're not there yet, and that's something you need to work on. Maybe you're overextending yourself. So really looking at where are you putting your energy and focus. And then lastly, in section 3.3 in your textbook is really talking about managing your money and budgeting, which is an important part. I really like the budget worksheet that page 68 kind of gives you. It is going to have some things on that may not apply to you, but it kind of gives you an overall feel of how would you budget with the money that you have. Because remember, when you're thinking about budgeting, you're really looking at your income that you have, and maybe some of us don't have a job, so this necessarily wouldn't apply to you, but thinking about how you are spending your money, right? Just like you're spending your time. So this is just something good for us to look at and to think about. And also understanding your financial aid is a big part of this section, which is something as a student that you should be able to do. One more thing that I really want to look at is going to be under the Think, Write, Apply section. Now, I told students that you do not have to turn the Think, Write, Apply section in. However, I feel like it was important for us to go over and look at that section in textbook because it really lets you gain a deeper understanding and it gives you feedback, right? So if we're looking at page 77, it's going to talk about your distractions, right? And the reason that's important is we have to think about there's distractions all around us, but are we allowing the distractions to take hold of our lives? And is it becoming a problem or issue, right? So if we're looking at page 77, it's really going to let you see which area is the distraction, right? So what you'll do is that you will look at each item on the left-hand side of the column, possible distractions, and you're going to put a Y or an N, depending on if you think it's a distraction. Now, is it something controllable? Meaning you have control over, is it something that's uncontrollable, which you can't fix or have any control over at all? And then instead of just listing it as a problem, we really need to take it a step further and think about what are some possible solutions to beat these distractions? Like what could I do? What are some strategies to think about? And you can even refer back and check to help you with this. Okay, so that's going to be your activity assignments, reading chapter 3, also doing the discussion board, and then you will be taking chapter 3 quiz. The chapter 3 content is opening on Friday. Okay, so it will open on Friday, February 7th, and it will be due Thursday, February 13th. And that is also when the quiz will close. I will be posting a separate video for exploring the field, so please make sure that you are watching that. That way you can get a better understanding as to what it is that you're going to be doing with this project. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Until next time, guys, take care.